Data definition. Item types. With the model tag, you can generate a constructor with custom properties. Keep in mind that new objects are created using model service, so constructor is rarely used. Sometimes you may need to set up custom properties to make item catalog aware, for example. This is done via custom properties tag. Other use case for custom properties can be system type. Only single system type item can exist. If new is created, the older is removed. It is possible to create an index in the database using index tag in item definition. Specifying index for unique attributes is considered as a good practice. Attributes having range of different options as well. One of them is selection of, that is used for the back-office view to decrease the scope of the possible variables. But it's not limiting you from assigning other options using Create New button. Note that this option has no effect on the service logic, as it works only for the back-office view. Redeclare is used to modify inherited from the parent property. Scope for modifications is limited to make non-writable attribute as writable, change the attribute type to more concrete subtype, and change the default value. With metatype, you can change the attribute descriptor. View attribute descriptor can be used for the reporting, while expression attribute descriptor can get value from expression. For example, here I am getting value by calling a static method with the constant property. Description can be used as a comment. It will also be generated to the model as JavaDoc. Using model tag, you can customize getSet methods. If you specify new getter or setter as default, original getSet methods will be skipped. If don't, original will stay, so both can be used. With null decorator, custom logic can be written for cases when return value is a null. Default value lets you specify the value that will be stored upon creation, but not via constructor. Note this will not affect already created items. There are two types of persistence. First, property means that attribute is saved in the database as a column. Column type can be configured, taking DB vendor into consideration. Second option is dynamic. Dynamic properties are computed on the fly using handler class. Handler is specified by the Spring identifier. If you want your dynamic property to be read-only, you can specify write-false. If your handler beam is named according to the convention, you don't need to specify it in items.xml. Dynamic properties can also be localized. Localized handlers should implement the different interface. Here you can see an example of the localized handler. There are lots of modifiers that can be used for your attribute. Read if getter should be generated. Write if setter should be generated. Initial if true, setter will work only during creation. Private, no access methods will be generated. Part of, attribute value item will be deleted together with the enclosing item. Optional can make attribute mandatory. I suggest to provide the default values for mandatory properties. Keep in mind that making optional property as mandatory will require providing value for such field, and default value will not help for already created items. Unique if used for set of properties, combination of all values should be unique. Don't optimize will persist attribute in the global, not optimized table. Encrypted modifier can improve security of your sensitive, like password data. There are few properties that can affect encryption algorithm. Encryption provider class and symmetric algorithm that should be supported by the provider class. For attributes, there is hidden for UI custom property that will hide your property from the back-office view. Removing attributes is tricky. If you remove entry from the items.xml, no getSet methods will be generated and value in the back-office will become empty. To remove attribute from the back-office view, you will need to remove the attribute descriptor. This can be done manually from the back-office and compose type or via impex. To go even further and clean column from the database, you will need the SQL query. Let's wrap it up. Item type is the main type. You should be very careful when defining data, especially deployment. Once changes are delivered to the database, rolling them back may be troubling. That's it for the item type.